Hi, welcome to Metatron's channel. The reason why we're doing this video, as you might have gathered from the title, is to introduce you to different aspects of Metatron. So I'm going to introduce you to Susan and Miguel, who are here. They also are aspects of Metatron, and they will come and tell you their story today. The purpose of this group specifically is to lead the way. Many of you are now coming into contact with other aspects of yourself. So if you're Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, even if you're an ascended master like Saint Germain or Yeshua, Mary or Mary Magdalene, you know, you will be coming into contact with other aspects of the fractal that you have within yourself, or you know, the incarnation that you are. So this is just another way of like showing you guys really that once you get, you know, all of the fractals together, can you imagine for 1 minute if you got all the fractals on the world of Metatrons and Michaels and Gabriels and Uriels and Raphaels all together? Can you imagine like what kind of amazing discussion you guys would have? The energy would be off the scale. It'd be amazing. So myself, Susan and Miguel, we're going to have these sessions on a weekly basis and just discuss, and they'll reveal more and more aspects of themselves to you as we go forward. So that's the purpose, is to gather the Metatron fractals, and I am one of 3 today, which I'm so happy to be a part of. So let me introduce you to Susan. Susan has a fractal of Metatron within her. So Susan, please tell us your story.
I just recently found out that I'm a fractal of Metatron about, I'd say 3 weeks ago. So it's relatively new, but you know, and I'm still learning more and more about Metatrons, you know, more about Metatron in general. But I've always felt, I guess, a strong energy within me, and I've been on the spiritual journey for at least 10 to 15 years. I've been a Reiki master for 20 plus years, but I've always been kind of the one that individuals have come to as like a counselor or mentor, or just had natural leadership abilities that people have been drawn to. But I've always been drawn to like sacred geometry or manifestation abilities, or I've always just had kind of that internal knowledge of the connectedness of all life, and just trusted that the universe will bring me whatever is best for me. And I just, yeah, I've always had that, just felt that internal guidance. But it's more in the last probably 10 months that I've been opening more and more to my gifts and more awareness of my gifts, and including, you know, I'm doing more and more channeling. Yeah, I've just been trying to practice that the last probably 3 or 4 months. And so I've been having more beings come to me, and especially Metatron came to me a few times before I connected with Nilesh, and then I found out through another channeler that's about being a fractal of Metatron, all within the same week. So it was very synchronistic. So
tell us, sorry to interrupt you, Susan, but tell us about that. Tell us about like how you became aware. What led you up to the awareness that you had this fractal of Metatron within you? Tell us.
I think just Metatron started showing up in my own channeling practice. I just I connect through the heart and through intention, and you know, I set my intention to connect with, you know, positive beings and angels, archangels, ascended masters, so forth, and spirit guides, and then I usually ask, you know, who's with me, and then what if I have specific questions, I'll ask that, or a general message. And then I usually, you know, I just consciously, you know, receive the message in my head, and I write it down in a journal. And I do that on a daily basis. And so, yeah, so more and more beings, you know, in the last few months kept coming through, and Metatron came through. And then there was a video with Nilesh with one of my healing groups that I attend. And so we connected, and And then a few days later, I attended another like Saturday webinar, and I asked the question, you know, who am I a fractal of? And it came forth that it was Metatron. And I kind of already knew that internally. It was just more of a confirmation, having, you know, someone else, you know, state that, but I was feeling that already. And so since then, I've just, yeah, been just reading more about Metatron and trying to connect with him through channeling, and you know, and trying to, you know, identifying how I connect with Metatron more and more. So
That's
it's still a journey, and so I'm still learning. But
that's beautiful. I love it. What do you feel your mission is? Now you know. I know it's really
yeah.
early for you. I get that, and I know
Yes.
you've only just come into that awareness. But you
Um,
know, there is a mission for you, isn't there? So do you know what that is? Have you discovered what your mission and purpose is?
well, I know I've been a healer for many years, with
Yeah.
Reiki, but I also know I think I have natural healing ability. Like I'm able, through visualization and intention, I'm able to focus and channel the energy, and others are able to feel it usually. I also have always been connected to nature and trees, especially, and animals. I've had some animal communication ability, over the years.
Wow.
And I know I received a message that, you know, and I feel that in the future I'll have some type of work, connecting, you know, telepathic communication with other species and animals, and or other beings, as well as, you know, and connecting humans to that as well,
Yeah.
and doing healing for both, kind of like
Beautiful.
my own purpose, kind of combining all of those gifts. So
I love it. It's like the different aspects of Metatron all coming together is like all of the parts make the sum of the whole, right? Isn't it
yeah.
beautiful? So my next question is, what part of Metatron resonates with you the most? You know, like his personality. What is it that you feel you're passionate about?
um I just try to be the love and project the love, and I think, I mean, from our conversations, that he has a huge heart, and I've always been that I just need to be the love and project that, and kind of hold the space for others that are going through maybe their own struggles in their mind, or you know, chaotic energies. And
Yeah.
I'm usually, and I've heard the term used a lot, the eye in the storm, of just being the calm, you know, strong rock that others come to. And I usually, yeah, tend to calm people down, and you know, stabilize their energy, I guess. And I usually try to just observe and hold the compassion for whatever somebody else is going through, without taking on their energy. And I've had to learn that over the years, being empathetic, to hold my energetic space strongly, and but in a compassionate, loving manner,
Mm.
and just, you know, just be who I am, but also have compassion and respect for where others are on their journey. Um, and be that, yeah, loving presence that maybe they need. So
It's beautiful. I mean, it's fascinating. You know, you mentioned that. Yes, Meti has such a big heart, and you know, all empaths are like this, aren't they? You know, we give so much of ourselves and leave very little for ourselves, and give so much of our energy and our vibration and our time, and you know, all of that away. And yeah, and learning to kind of hold back and hold the space for them is definitely you know, a master way of dealing with things, isn't it? It's an ascended master way of dealing with things. So yeah, love it that you're tapping into that. Thank you for that, Susan. So now I wanted to introduce you to Miguel. Miguel is also another fractal incarnation of Metatron. So Miguel, please share your story with us.
Yeah, sure. So actually, in my case, I realized this fractal part right before the closure of the borders of Corona. I'm going to rewind a little bit and explain my story. I've been not so aware of my gifts since I was 10 years old. And I say since I was 10 years old because I realized I was very psychic at the time. But unfortunately, an accident in my family triggered a trauma by which I closed the spirituality pursuit.
Uh-huh.
That took me on a more rational, intellectual, mind-governed kind of lifestyle. I did what was expected of me. I studied what was expected of somebody with my capacity. I made daddy proud. All this kind of story, and ended up working in the corporate ladder in different industries. And my last experience, I happened to be working for pharmaceuticals. And I started thinking I was going to do a lot of wonderful things for patients. And I ended up realizing the truth within it. And that's the beginning of my awakening, because as harsh as it was, that triggered a breakdown of my physiology. And that breakdown brought me literally, and I'm compacting the story very much, but brought me literally to a near-death experience, but not the kind of light angelic beings coming to take you that we hear, but the harsh one in which you're really at that edge, in which it's just like that close, right? So something within me, and this is I'm gonna drop it right now, which is the willpower. So that's gonna be to your question of Metatron. There was that immense willpower within me that I knew this is not gonna be this way. I cannot. There was nobody in my circle that would support me at that time, but for my partner, which happened to be the angel rescuing me at that point. And that's what allowed me to, little by little, in a very depleted state, work my way up. It was a complicated, up to that moment, no spiritual awakening whatsoever. It's just the beginning of the awakening as I see it now. But it was more mind, physiological, and emotional up the ladder kind of journey.
Yeah.
And I reached a point of let's say a stagnant status in which I had not really resolved the situation, but I have basically tried everything that was possible, and and the most miraculous thing happened at the time, and I was. There was a situation with this pharma company kind of threatening me and blackmailing me. So there was a moment in which I had for help in the community where I live. And there's this phenomenal person that comes to me and tells me, listen, I really cannot help you with this sort of situation, but I know somebody that sees more than the eyes see. And he extended me this card, right? And so I arrived to this, I'm going to call it a psychic, right? It's the first time I actually see a person of that sort. And she tells me things about myself that if all they have told me for these, let's say 29 years, 30 years had been truth, there's no way that person can know what is telling me right the moment I enter the door.
Yeah.
And that had such a profound, I mean, it's not that she kind of told me something I was not aware of deep down.
Yeah.
But the way she put it across, I mean, and I'm vibrating all over right now. It was like, my God, everything they've told me is just not right. And I had that determination that I spoke already about. And I remember that fire within me kind of setting up in a way that I said, nobody's stopping me now. And I started the search. And within spirituality is one thing that is said in Christianity, which is let that who seek find, and do not cease to seek until he or she finds. Yeah. And that was my journey. I started like trying all kind of things. This brings me to 1 year ago. 1 year ago, my partner is Latvian. In Latvia, they maintain a very, very deep connection with nature and ancient traditions. and she had kept a pendulum. And okay, I know that some people say do not let a pendulum guide you, but the point is, at that time I started playing with the pendulum. She gave me some indications. I started playing with the pendulum, and somehow I found it very, very ingrained in my being. And the information that started coming, mostly first around healing, because I needed that part of healing, was nothing but extraordinary. I mean, the closest example would be something of Edgar Cayce. But even mixed with crystals, with the synergistic behavior of different elements, it's just too complicated. I wrote down a complete notebook on it. And that brought me to pursuing that journey. And after a few months, I basically connected with my guardian angel. And that connection started already teaching me things about the dimensionality and the dimensions without any kind of ego driven to it, but just for me to kind of make sense of everything I was experiencing. My guardian angel was instrumental in guiding me through the next steps, and they happen across a myriad of areas. And then I was clearly said that, as you mentioned already, I did not come here to pursue, let's say, ego-driven goals. But to use the phenomenal gifts that I would be little by little made aware of and allow use of. And so, from there on, a myriad of different things, not always romantic. There were very tough moments and tough ramifications of the whole story. But basically, I started being guided in a 24/7 basis. In the most bold ways, I was asked to take a trip with very, very profound numerological meanings, aside from other angelic meanings. And within that trip, I was alone. And I basically realized a lot of things around what my gifts were. Immediately, tremendous psychic abilities started developing. And that brings me basically to almost the end of last year. And at the end of the last year, I am communicated that I've connected with my higher self. And then it starts a completely different new game, because the guidance is, let's say, there's only one thing that makes me go through that kind of guidance, and that is faith, because the guidance is the most, let's say, spectacular and, to use it very understandable, nuts that I could you could imagine, right? And from one day being in a completely calm mood, and all of a sudden they tell you, jump on this train at this hour from this platform and you'll see what happens. And so I always, at this point, I say, look, I can talk for hours and I have wonderful experiences, but the reality is, the closest example, and saving the distances, because for me, I have huge respect, is Drumbalo Melchizedek. So without, again, getting too deep into the examples, that brings me to the moment right before the closure of the border with Corona. And I had been guided through a lot of different things, but on a Thursday, I'm told, you go to Spain, you gotta meet a being that is very related to your soul family. And this person does not know me, right? So this is on a Thursday. I'm to fly on the Friday. And so you pick up the phone and call this person right away. This person has also holistic, naturopathic, let's say, business. So I pick up the phone call, and she says, sure enough, you come over. And so you see me like getting all the plane, getting all the itinerary. And so basically, as I arrive to meet this person on a Saturday, I am told to sleep in a completely remote surrounding of forest land. And this is where I learn that a fractal of Metatron passes through me on a certain level. And basically I learned it because I knew before, for other reasons, I was a starseed. And then I arrived in this place to sleep, and basically it's called Las Mazadas, which is in my native language. And the owners is one lady called Estrella, which translated is star. And the other guy is called Serafin. And, you know, a lot of things happen just in that one night. So when I leave out, I'm like, so one lady is called Estrella, the other guy is called Serafin. And then, you know, I need to head to Madrid, like really urgently, to meet my family. And I'm getting out at 1 p.m. I leave at 9 a.m. on the Sunday. And it tells me, you're going to arrive at this time in Madrid. It's around 2 hours away, right? So it's not that easy to tell you you're going to arrive at 9:43. And that's what I was told. And sure enough, I arrived at 9:43. So when I was coming back on the plane, a lot of amazing synchronicities happened. And then I am basically told that, yeah, I am a Seraphim. And to be very honest, I have no idea at that time what a Seraphim means.
Yeah.
So the way it works as part of my guidance is I am told basically how to look for the information. So I kind of bypass all the problem of misinformation on the internet. So basically I am said, you Google these kind of words, and it kind of passes directly through my mind in a similar way as Susan has described. And yeah, and I Google that, I go through the archangels, and it tells me, obviously my first guess is I'm Michael, because my name in Spanish is Miguel Angel, which would be
that's right. Yeah, of course, yeah.
Way, that's why they named me that way. And it tells me, no, you're Metatron. And to be honest, I've never heard of Metatron, and people in the spiritual community are gonna kill me, but that's the truth. And that's how I'm being told that's the situation, right? And I guess I come back through Milan in that flight. And so right before the border closure and the Italian kind of chaos. And then from there on, and this is the beginning of March, I start a quest to understand what does that mean, and how does all that I have been made aware and all the different ramifications in which I have been led connect to that. And so I think I've talked a little bit too much, but basically that's my story till I learn about Metatron, basically.
That's lovely. Thank you, Miguel. So would you say the determination and the willpower are the aspects of Metatron that you resonate with the most? Would you say that's correct?
I think wisdom and willpower, probably. And I you know, it's a little bit like cliche to bypass love. I think this is to me a kind of like an obvious part. But you know, if I need to kind of like put forward a couple of aspects, love is obviously gonna be there. Otherwise, you cannot even exploit the others. But there's a lot of wisdom, which again, I don't like to talk about it that way because I really think that's still not here. It is coming, but and there's definitely a lot of willpower.
I agree with that. Or perseverance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Comes to mind. Yeah.
So, I think it's, sorry, go on. You were saying, Susan. Go on.
No, I was just saying, like what you're saying resonates with me. The inner strength, the perseverance, the just knowing that it's all going to work out. If you just keep moving forward and adapting to whatever situation gets thrown your way. I've always felt that too. That inner strength is what you're saying. So.
That's beauty. That's the beauty of having these conversations, is the fact that there are going to be different aspects of Metatron, vibration that we are going to feel more strongly for, and that's the whole part of this. We're not going to be the same. Yes, there might be some elements that are the same, like the perseverance, the inner strength, the love, yes, and the vibration. But there are other aspects of him that you're going to go, you know what? I feel really like, and for me, determination, willpower is the one, you know, that is my thing. That's my jam. That's kind of, you know, what resonates with me. And that's the beauty of having these conversations. We bring different aspects forward, and that's why we're doing this. You know, this is the part of it. So, Miguel, so you know, we've talked about obviously the parts that resonate with you and Metatron. What do you feel your mission is here on planet Earth? Why do you feel you're here?
So the way that it has been passed on to me is basically to devise, I'm going to be ambitious, but a curated musical kind of like therapy. So basically the way it would be to envision the way to tune and time a sound wave to basically exercise healing. That would be the most summarized way to describe the mission. Now, my present moment is a bit far from it, in the sense that what I'm connecting at the moment is a lot of psychic abilities with, for instance, crystals, numerology, geometry. There's a lot of anatomy. There's a lot of energetic work, but a little bit not so structured as different other modalities.
So Miguel, don't expand too much. There's still going to be loads more sessions of these, and you'll be able to explain a lot more about different aspects of Metatron and your being and where you're at, because that's the whole idea of this. So that's wonderful. I just wanted to ask you, I mean, obviously for you it's the sound, and it's interesting that you talk about sound being your mission in regards to using sound to heal, because you know, it's one, you know, when we go into the galactics, you know, sound is used the most. Sound is a vibration, and that vibration is how, you know, in higher forms of vibration, it's sound. There aren't names. That, you know, there's no such thing as name. It doesn't exist. It's just sound. So it's interesting that you're bringing that forward, because it's a very, very high vibration way of expressing, for sure, and many different modalities to express that too as well, you know, and using it for healing is wonderful. So that's really, really cool. Thank you, Miguel. That's wonderful. Susan, I just wanted to ask you if there's anything that you wanted to add, if there was anything that came up while we were.
I know in my journey, yeah, I've taken like psychic development classes. The last 11 years, I've been part of a local intuitive practice circle that's led by a professional psychic, and where we spend an hour just more on discussion, people sharing their personal experiences or things that they've learned, you know, like knowledge sharing. And then the second hour is to practice our intuitive or healing gifts. So if someone needs like a Reiki healing, I might do a healing on them, or if someone wants a group psychic reading from all of us, and so usually sometimes there's 18 to 24 people that show up. So that's, you know, they'll ask the question, you know, we'll all, you know, focus on that question with our gifts and write down whatever we get, and then we all, if it can be publicly shared, we all share it as a group with the person that had the question. Or if it was you got a more private message, we might just write it down and hand it to that person. But so yeah, so I've done that for like 10 or 11 years. And so I would encourage, yeah, anybody that can find, you know, a group of people they resonate with locally, or even create their own, to practice their intuition, practice their psychic gifts, healing gifts, you know, and just share experiences in a safe, confidential space, as we call it, and with other like-minded beings. And then just in the last year, we started, so that's twice a month for like 2 hours. And then each time, and then we do once a month. About a year ago, we started just a discussion forum called Beyond the Normal. Mm-hmm. So it's for more those that want to delve into more advanced topics, you know, galactic information that they received, or, you know, information like that. So, or astral traveling, or you know, what have you. So that's for those that want to delve in at a deeper level with some of their experiences or things that they're interested in. So that's, yeah. And more people keep showing up all the time. So it's been amazing. It used to be like more like 10 to or like 8 to 12 people, and now it's like 18 to 24 people, and new people show up like every time, it seems. So it's been great. Yeah.
That's lovely. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I mean, it's, you know, it's not easy, you know, especially with, you know, 7 billion people plus out there on the planet, and coming forward and owning the fractal of yourself. I know it was a very difficult thing for me to come forward and do. And obviously it's not easy for you guys too. So thank you so much for coming forward. And like I've said to you, both of you, I know I've had individual conversations with you both, and, you know, we've talked about kind of, you know, leading the way in regards to, you know, how things need to be done as we move forward in humanity's ascension. And this is one of the things that, you know, people, angelics, you know, source beings, ascended masters will be experiencing in their own experience. They will be coming across others who are just like them, wanting to connect. And so not to be afraid of that, and maybe even have the courage to stick it on the video and stick it out there so other people can feel the energy and the vibration of each and every one of us, and also how that is when it's combined. You know, it's a beautiful thing. And it's about, this is again, you know, another stepping stone to train and teach us all to kind of come to one consciousness. This is how we do it. This way, you know, this is us teaching. So it's wonderful. So like I say, we're going to have more and more of these sessions, and we'll be discussing various topics, and as we go forward, you know, Susan and Miguel will be, you know, sharing more of their own life experiences and what they've been through, and how that's affected them, and how they've come to their, you know, understanding and knowing today. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you again.